The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Between science and ignorance, there is filler.
And good evening, everyone. This is Wes Forsythe, host of Paranormal Filler. And I was a little late there. I'm checking to see if the Blog Talk feed is even working. It's not showing me as on the switchboard. Even though it's talking to me in my ear, it's giving me little messages saying the show started. But so we may not have a Blog Talk feed tonight. If not, I'll hang up on the bitch because it is Blog Talk. I want to welcome everybody to the show. This is Paranormal Filler, the week where I just love live radio. The show where every week I talk to people in the paranormal field about paranormal stuff, and sometimes not so much. Sometimes it's just, we just talk about stuff. But, it's been just, the weather has finally broken. I am in a my mood is improving. So, got that going for us. I went to Patty Starr's Mystical Paranormal Fair today, and visited with my sponsor and dear friend and co-host of Scarefest Radio, Mr. Ken Boggle. He was a busy man. We dropped him off a care package of farm products, and so they say the Blog Talk feed is working, so cool. I am actually on the radio on all my syndicates tonight. Diversity logged in, WIHG logged in. Everything is going so well. We're trying out the new webcam feed, which I need to switch the video over so you can actually see my lovely face for the subscribers. So, we're getting everything worked out here at the Paranormal Filler Studio. And, one quick announcement, which I'll talk more about probably in the second hour. My first hour guest is Denise Pridemore, host of Paranormal Pride Radio, and, paranormal, researcher, investigator, ghost hunter. We're gonna be talking a bunch of, that kind of stuff. So, stay tuned. Second hour, shenanigans. Yeah, Blog Talk says it's waiting for me to call in, even though it is broadcasting me. So that is a little software glitch, but apparently it's not going to adversely affect your listening pleasure. Anyway, I was getting ready to say I talked to Patty Starr. Of course, she runs the Scarefest. They are doing a big. Haven't made all the announcements, but I think I can, because I can't give you any details, but I can tell you they're going to basically have a big pre-party on Thursday night before the event starts, and it's going to be a big deal. And as it stands right now, they are planning on me broadcasting live from the event. So I'm going to be in my element. I'm going to be in a bar broadcasting. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's enough small talk. Denise, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, everybody, Denise, I told you she's, has the radio show. She's, volunteers for the, Sally House in Atchison, Kansas, the yes. McPike Mansion in Alton, Illinois. Apparently you're pretty active in the field. I saw in the chat room you had just went to, or I guess you've been speaking to somebody, but, so you're, tell me about let's start with the group. Paranormal, PRG, is it?
Right. It's basically my husband and me and our kids. It's easier to schedule stuff if you know everybody's schedule up front.
Well, I'll grant you that, yeah.
I mean, heck, I can do anything I want because I don't have to meet with 10 other people and say, okay, who's doing this? Who can afford to do this? Whatever. We know what we can afford to do. We know when we can do it. So, works out for us, and, we don't have too many arguments over where we're going to go and what we're going to do. So, works out.
See, now I would think it would be the opposite. I would think that a family unit would just argue over,
Well, think about it. We know each other well. Well, Ron and I have been married for 32 years. We have other things to argue about. This isn't it.
Fair enough. Now that I think about it, I cannot think, of Anita and myself. She works with me a lot in the field. My wife, I really can't remember us arguing too much about the paranormal. As you pointed out, everything else, but not the paranormal. Now tell me what you hope to accomplish with the group. Let's just stick with the group a moment. Are you just out for the experience? Are you helping people? What are you all doing out in the field as a group?
There are multiple things. The first thing is we got involved to help people. And we wanted to learn. So the first thing we did, of course, we had to go out there and learn what's going on in the paranormal field. Because we were busy being parents for the longest time. I mean, we still are. That doesn't stop. But, the youngest one got old enough to where we could go and start having some of our own hobbies and stuff. But the first thing is, if we get involved in this, we're going to want to help people. So that's what we do. We help people. We've done multiple cleansings. If I can't help them, I will find somebody who will. I've helped people all over the country, finding the right people to help them with their situation. And then we volunteer for the Atchison Chamber of Commerce, so we're helping people there. And part of that volunteering for the Atchison Chamber of Commerce means that we volunteer to host tours at the Sally House. And we also volunteer at McPike Mansion to try to help them get, rebuilt. I mean, they're in the process of rebuilding this historic mansion that was left alone since the 60s and is now getting rebuilt. So that's really it. Just the big thing is helping people. I didn't get involved for people to know, hey, she was that lady that was on this show. She was on the news. She's got, she's writing a book. She's doing this. I didn't get involved for that. I got involved, first and foremost, to help people.
Now, what was your background in the paranormal? I get, from your bio, I kind of get the impression that this is something that, has been a part of your life for a long time, long before you ever got into ghost hunting.
Yes, I've always been able to see and hear stuff that other people don't hear or see. And one of the things is, you go back to the 70s. I mean, when I'm saying 70s, I'm saying 70. You go back all the way to then and you're telling people you're seeing stuff. You get this funny look like they go to your parents and go, did she just say that? Things like that. By the time I was 10, I knew, don't say anything. People give you the funny look or they avoid you after a while. So I've been seeing stuff my whole life. And basically had to keep quiet about it. In fact, the previous house that we lived in was haunted. And I had told my husband, I said, we've got this boy in our house. And kids told him the same thing. So my daughters also see things. And he didn't believe us until we found out somebody had committed suicide in our house prior to us buying it. And we lived in Missouri at the time, and there was no rule in Missouri that you had to tell somebody if somebody had died in the home that you're trying to buy. So we found out after we'd lived there 11 years that this boy I had been seeing all this time had killed himself there. So that was my husband's wake-up call that the things that I saw were really happening. Because I never told him that I saw stuff until then.
Now, so that puts you, the story there puts you in the class of, the broad term psychic, but we'll stick with intuitive or sensitive. Now, how far does your gifts go? Do you hear things? Do you just see things? Describe to me a little bit about your perception of the paranormal.
I hear spirits that'll speak to me. I feel them touch me, things like that. That sometimes I wish I wouldn't do that. I also see them. I wish I could draw better, so I could draw what I see, because it's not like you can take a picture of what I'm seeing. But I see full body apparitions where people are going, I'm not seeing a damn thing. And I'm like, you don't see that? Because I see this. And so I guess some of it is I'm clairaudient, that I'm clairvoyant, and I don't know what else there is. I have never really researched all the things to find out what people say I am.
Yeah.
I'm a mom, and I'm a paranormal investigator and a volunteer. But it's amazing when you tell people, when you're standing someplace and you go, I see this lady, and I describe what she looks like, and somebody will bring me a picture a few days later and say, is this what you saw? And it's like, yeah, looks like her. But again, you know, your memory's only as good as you want it to be. So, but yeah, I see all kinds of stuff. It's fun.
There's a whole list of clairs. I need to actually publish that. A friend of mine actually went through on a DVD that she did, audio, I guess it was a CD. And she listed them, and I'm like, good Lord, we break this down a lot. But I noticed that now in all that, you never have embraced the word medium. Do you feel like that your communication's not clear enough to embrace that term? I was wondering why you didn't throw that word in there.
Because I don't feel like I'm a medium. I used to tell people, they go, are you a medium? I go, no, I'm a large. And I just walk away. I just never looked at it that way.
Well, it's very common. Don't get me wrong. It's very common.
I know.
So I'm kind of wondering why you don't, because you've got, I'll put it this way. The things that you're doing, a lot of people want to call me a medium, and I very rarely can see anything. Once in a while I can hear something. Mostly I'm clairsentient. I just seem to, things pop into my head and I know them. But, from the layman, which I guess I'm still a layman in this field, when somebody tells me that they can, see them and hear them and talk to them, I think you pretty well, that's pretty much the job description, other than maybe typing and Excel spreadsheets. I mean, you're in there.
Well, let's go with Excel. Excel spreadsheets are my job. So, and I do predictive analytics. So, so needless to say, there's a lot of things in there that I say I could say that, but I don't want people associating me with that, and then those phone calls that come or those messages that come asking me about their past or their future.
Oh, okay. Now, the past and future crap, yeah. But I think I understand. But your gifts are more localized. In other words, you couldn't call my grandmother up.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, okay, now it makes sense to me. Now you've actually given me a good, help me with my definition of a medium. A medium tends to be, on a party line that, they can call up spirits. Maybe not at will, but, most of them say that they can establish that communication if the other party's willing. Where your gifts fall more into how I would describe my own, I'm more localized. You put me in a haunted location and I can tune in on it.
I think at this point in time, I would say I'm a passive medium, maybe. I'm there, they come to me, oh, okay, I'll talk to you now. But I'm not going to go and try to channel your grandma.
Gotcha.
There's no reason for me to channel your grandma. I have been able to channel my own family members that have passed. I have been able to channel some friends' family members that have passed. But I think it's more, maybe I don't want to go further with it.
Very possibly. What I mean? That's what everybody tells me why my own gifts are so limited, is that I'm just not open to the experience. And but I had a friend that he went and he opened himself up to the experience, and it damn near drove him nuts. So I'll just stay away from it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll get right back with Denise Pridemore and hear more about her paranormal story on Paranormal Filler.
Lockdown 2016 at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. June 19th, join Paul Bradford, Brian Cano, Christopher St. Booth, Deb and Nick Lance, Chris Dedman, myself, and many more icons of the paranormal. Enjoy a celebrity meet and greet, an investigation of the entire prison, including areas that are normally not open to the public. There's even a magic show by illusionist Reed Masterson of Impossible Magic. All this and a late-night meal with the celebrity guest. The proceeds from this event benefit Unity, a Journey of Hope, a charity that grants wishes to adults with life-limiting illnesses. Purchase your tickets now at lockdown2016.eventbrite.com or visit Unity, a Journey of Hope.org to learn more. Unity, a Journey of Hope. Changing lives, one wish at a time.
And welcome back, everyone, to Paranormal Filler. My guest tonight is Denise Pridemore. Now, Denise, back to you and your function with your family unit as a paranormal group. Now, I take it that okay. Now, you said that you got in it to help people, so that means you're going out and you're going to people's homes. How much do you trust? Or I should maybe not trust, maybe I should say rely on your gifts when you are establishing whether or not somebody has activity in their home?
I don't. Until I'm there a little while, when we're in someone's home, I want their home. I want them to tell me what's going on. I want to listen to them first before I listen to anything else. In the past, I've been in people's homes and they've told me stuff, and then the spirits will turn around and tell me the same stuff later on. I think it's better, and if you're better to listen to them directly and be more focused on their problem that they're having, so that when you do get to speak to the spirits, you can, relay to them exactly what they're feeling. One of the ones we had, the spirit was angry, and it wasn't normally angry. It was just angry right at that point. And we figured that it was probably because the mother had left the kids home for the weekend, and the older son wasn't doing the job he should have been doing on watching the 12-year-old daughter. And the spirit got mad and was turning on the microwave when the door was open. It threw some things across the room at them. Scared the crap out of the boy. He wouldn't go back for the longest time. But the girl who knew the spirit was there, she talked to him all the time and knew he was there, was very upset because she says, he's never been like this before. So there was a lot of listening that had to go on there for the mother and the daughter. The son didn't come back, so I didn't get to talk to him. And the spirit. So we had to come up with something that was good for everybody, because the spirit wasn't a mean spirit at all. He was just pissed at the mom for leaving, and the boy for not doing what he was supposed to do. So without listening to, first of all, the mother and her fear, the girl and her relationship with the spirit, there's nothing we could have done if we hadn't listened to them first. We would have gone in there and thought that there was a malevolent spirit, that it was, evil. I mean, this is in Atchison, so it's quite possible that it, everybody feels like every spirit that they have is demonic and everything like that. And it's like, it's quite possible we could have went in there and thought that, but we didn't. We went in there and let the family tell us what was going on, and then the spirit tell us what's going on. And you know what? They're all coinciding together and having a great life. Because we were able to listen, and what we did is we cleared out the negativity, and everybody's happy.
Good game plan there. I go in, I'm not personally overly skeptical when people call me up and say they're experiencing something. I mean, you get some reports that are just so vague but that's one thing I've always been careful about, even after I left the technical side of the field and leaned more toward the metaphysical side, is that I still, no matter what the stories are, I don't go in assuming the worst.
Right.
So I agree with you there. Now, what role does your family play in this entire thing?
My husband is the one that tries to keep everybody sane, and he's skeptical of people. Not usually of spirits, but that people have spirits sometimes. That people could be lying to us, which does happen. We all know that. He's also the one that will get upset when he finds out somebody did lie to us and things like that. But it's really good to have him around because he does keep all of us grounded. My daughter Lauren, who's involved, she just wants to find out where Kurt Cobain is all the time. That's what she's really interested in there. But she really is, I have to go with, she's very clairvoyant. She's right there telling us the whole time, saying, this is what I'm seeing. She's seen in Villisca, she saw a full body apparition walk right by her. Nobody saw anything, but she did. She saw this man walk by her and go right into the attic. And, she comes up with some great questions. She is a great question asker. Our 16-year-old daughter, she likes to watch, but she likes to ask the people who are there, the living questions, to get more information to help help Lauren with her questions for the spirits. It's great. But they just love to investigate. Lauren goes out with her friends and they investigate local graveyards, local homes, and things like that. So she's really good at it. So we all work together very well, and I think each one of us is complementary to the others.
Now, I'm always curious. Now, when you were young and you alluded to that you learned very quickly not to tell people that you were seeing things.
Yes.
Understand that fully. What about your family, though? Because I want to kind of compare now your family unit embracing this wholeheartedly versus what was your upbringing?
My upbringing was rather unusual. My father was murdered when I was 10, and he was murdered by his own father. And I actually saw the whole thing happen, but I was 27 miles away. Okay? That's the first thing. You don't tell people that, but the thing is with my family, it was, all these things are so odd, why would we want to talk about them? I think I just figured that my family wouldn't be very accepting. My sister, when she was little, she had an imaginary friend, and they made fun of her a lot. She's 4 years younger than me. And one day she got mad at him, and she beat him back into the wall with a hammer. Okay? My family thought this was hilarious. So here she is, she's, 3 years old. I'm 8 years old at the time, and I'm going, they're not very accepting of this. At least that was my perception at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I just never said anything until much later in life. And now my mother, she's at every one of my shows. Every time I do the Paranormal Pride, she's on there. She's probably listening now, and she listens to almost all my shows. So she's open to it, but she's very skeptical that the paranormal exists. My husband's family, his mother embraces the paranormal as well as, psychics and mediums, and she thinks that it's great because she actually sees stuff as well. And, I don't know if she hears stuff, but she does. I know that she has very vivid dreams, but she swears that she sees stuff anyway, so I believe she does. And so does some of her sisters. So as I've gotten older, I found that people are more accepting than I thought they were when I was younger.
Well, they probably are, to be honest with you. Now, of course, a lot of times I have to approach this from the religious background, because honestly, growing up, now I had some minor paranormal, I guess you could call them, experiences in my youth, but it was never anything that it was more like, oh wow, that's cool, and move on with your life, and but I don't remember, because I didn't embrace the paranormal until later in life. It really wasn't an issue in my own life, and one of the common themes of the show is religious upbringing, and some churches embrace it. Most think that everything's the devil. Some of them, our church ignored it. It was so I'm always curious about that dynamic. So basically, you're telling me that your kids got a double dose of it. But the buck started with you, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that my sisters probably also have some abilities, but one of them's just finding out that she may have some, and the other one, I don't know if she's even thinks about any of this stuff. When we talk, she always seems to be really interested in what happened the last time I went to a haunted location, or am I seeing anything about her mother-in-law that passed? Am I seeing anything? She's always asking me that kind of stuff. So I don't know if she has any abilities, but I would almost bet that she does. We have Native American background, and my grandmother always said stuff about us having some abilities as well. I don't know. It's just one of those things that we just didn't really talk about a whole lot back then. So, and I can only guess on some of the stuff, how they would have felt or anything. But I will tell you, there was something very strange that happened that my family, when I was little, my grandmother caught me falling down the steps. She was my great grandmother, and she actually broke her hip. When I went back to visit when my daughter was 1, my daughter started to fall down the steps, and I saw something catch her and keep her from falling. So when I told my grandmother that, she came clean with more and more stuff about abilities in our family, and this was back in 1988 that she came clean with some of that stuff. And she actually came to see me after she passed. I was in the hospital giving birth to my second daughter in 1989, and it was 4 days after she passed. They were doing her memorial service, and she came in the hospital room to see me and to see her great-granddaughter. And what was amazing was this nurse walked in the room, and my daughter is across the room, and I'm hooked up to all this stuff. They had induced my labor, so I had Pitocin, and so I had multiple IVs, and I couldn't get out of bed. But across the room in the cradle is my daughter's cradle, and it's rocking. And the nurse goes, "Oh, so you got out of bed?" I'm like, "No, I couldn't get out of bed, but I need to get out of bed." And she saw that, and that nurse never came back. I had a different nurse the next time, and it wasn't shift change. So, there's something going on with my family in the past. So it's kind of neat to know that we have this amazing background.
Yeah, now, see, you took me in a completely different direction there. I was convinced that that I understood the story, and you dug a little deeper there. And so in your case, it sounds like it's more of the nature versus nurture. I always wonder, because I think some people do, of course, I do, I guess I'm one of those, just about everybody has the availability of gifts, but, some people are better at it than others, and some people embrace it young. But I am always curious about whether it is a bloodline thing, or whether it's just the way we're trained, whether or not we're open to the experience. And then in the paranormal field, I actually think just being out there in the paranormal a lot of times will open people up to being more sensitive, to what's going on all around them. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I think it does, because I think if I hadn't gotten involved in this, I may still would have seen stuff, but I wouldn't have been able to tune in and figure out who I'm seeing, why I'm seeing them, and what they're really telling me. That's at least that's how it feels to me. I think that part of it could be bloodlines, but we can't prove or disprove that. Same as we can't prove or disprove nature or nurture in this case either.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, we could sit here, that's a whole other realm.
Well, I find that a lot in this field, don't you? That just one little topic can take you on a whole nother trip. Everybody, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You're listening to Paranormal Filler. My guest tonight is Denise Pridemore.
Hello, friends. Are you exhausted with life? Resent your children? Maybe your husband is cheating on you. Get yourself a tarot reading with Ken Boggle. He can provide you with the clarity, guidance, and answers you need. That's tarotbyken.com. He makes things seem less shitty.
And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsythe. Denise Pridemore is my guest. Okay, now let's take this in a different direction. What made you decide to get into paranormal podcasting?
Well, basically after I was on Ghost Adventures, somebody called me and said, "Hey, would you like to have a radio show?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And that was it. So, it worked out really good. I would listen to a couple of them, and I thought it sounded like it was fun. And so, I checked out a couple things and found out, hey, yeah, this really could happen. And right now I'm told that I have the #1 show on our network. And I'm excited about that. That, you know, I'm actually surprised at how many people say yes.
And by the way, you feel welcome to plug your show, and that's Paranormal King is the network.
Yeah,
correct?
It's on the paranormalking.com, and we're on Mixlr, and you can find that's the software we use. But it's also available on TuneIn, and my show is Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central, and I've had lots of guests. One of them's in the chat room now. That's Coyote Chris Sutton. Hi, Chris. And I know him also from McPike Mansion,
Mm-hmm.
so we've been friends for quite a while. And but I also interviewed him. I've had some great people. Joe Sertone from he actually was at the Sally House a long time ago. Wrote a book, The Sally House Exposing the Beast Within. I got to have Ralph Sarchi on, and he was amazing. I got to have Steve DeShavi and John Selleck from Curse the Bell Witch, and all these people talk to me like they've known me their entire lives, and I find that amazing that you feel like you really get to know someone after you've talked to them for 2 hours. My show's only an hour and a half, but still it's about 2 hours that I talk to them. Sometimes with Ken and Faradil, we were on the phone for 6 or 7 hours over 2 weeks. So you get to know them, and I love getting to meet and learn about the people who listen, who come out to see me at wherever I'm at, or they'll call and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Kansas City. Do you want to meet up?" Or I'll say, "Hey, I'm heading out to Eastern Kentucky. Can we meet somewhere along the way?" Or meet out at McPike Mansion or something like that. So, and because of all this, I've been asked to do so many fun things that I can't even imagine that I would have done otherwise.
Now, in your travels, it sounds like you're getting well traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, some just simple opinion pieces here. Most active place you've been?
The most active place I've been is a location that's right now shut down because it's been sold. It is called the Pepper Mill in Atchison, Kansas. It was actually called, when they did it for My Ghost Story, it was called the River House. And they called it Lulu's Ghouls. and I wasn't on it. We were there the night after they filmed and did an investigation, and it was just amazing because Madame Lulu would come out every time we were there. We'd just be eating and she'd come out. She'd peek around the corner or slap my kid or something. It's amazing. That was one of our favorite places. I can't wait to get back in there. The next most active place we'd been, I'm going to say the Sally House, but we'll talk about that later. But after that would be McPike Mansion in Alton, Illinois.
So in other words, I mean, Sally House might qualify, but in your opinion, your most impressionable places, your most active places, are the lesser known. Now, do you think that is just by coincidence, or do you think it is because they're not fished out?
I think part of it is they're not being well known. The spirits are more willing to talk to you. They're not bored with whatever it is that's going on. But there's some places I've been where I've been to Lent Mansion 3 times, 2 times, 3 times. Not squat. Not even a orb in a picture. Not even a dust orb. So that's telling you their maids are great. There's no dust in that place. But I've never had any paranormal experiences at Lent Mansion. And we've been there enough times. But yet, I'm not saying it's not haunted. I'm just saying it's not active when I'm there. And
quite possibly, you may not want to talk them down. I was going to say overrated. I find a lot of places are overrated. In other words, and it sounds like an insult, but it just means that because of the hype they get on TV a lot of times, and some people I'm sure go in some of these places and it just absolutely rocks their world. But I've been to several places that I went in and I decided, yeah, it seems like there's something going on here. Creepy, spooky, and maybe get an EVP or two. But I found a lot of places that I've seen on TV. Not that I'm that well traveled, but they just just didn't quite live up to the billing, as one would say.
I have a couple of those. We did not have any activity that was notable at Bobby Mackey's except upstairs in the bar area.
That is actually on my list of places. And
I'm not going to tell you that it wasn't. It's just the day we were there, ghosts don't act on command. Mm-hmm. They don't always show up when you're there to show up to meet them. But we did have a lot of interactions with Carl upstairs in the bar. Down by the hole, we had nothing. But I think the cell that's down there is going to be a lot more active than by that hole. There is a cell that was used by the mob as a holding cell. And I felt weirder in there than I did anywhere else in the entire place. I did ask about the quality of their hookers when they had and this red streak of light went past my face. And that was amazing because we were in total darkness. And where this red light came from, I have no clue, but I felt like I was being told to shut up. So I did. But like I said, I didn't have that much activity there. And, the Sedamsville Rectory, like they had when Ghost Adventures was there, right. And they heard growling. Well, the people who own the place feed the animals outside. And so what we saw was we heard growling right after we got in the door, and I look out the window when we heard the growling, and it was 2 raccoons, who are now named Hoover and Kirby, because they were in there sucking up all the food. And we did them both in the same day. Because we went to Bobby Mackey's in the afternoon when it was closed, and we went over to Sedamsville and spent the night. So
now I will, because I'm doing an event at Bobby Mackey's, and now that's one place I do encourage people to go.
Yes.
People have experiences there, and I'm convinced the place is haunted. But the one thing I do try to get people is just what you just said. Don't concentrate on that stupid drain that they that the name changes from all the time. But basically, it's an old floor drain. It's I don't think there's anything. In other words, the bright woman's head was never in that hole. I'm convinced of it.
No.
But now I've not been to Saddamsville, but I hate to break anybody's hearts, but I've had a lot of people tell me that about that place.
It's a really beautiful building. It is clean and nice, and the upstairs, the very, very upstairs, is amazing. But other than that, we didn't have anything. We got a call and we had to leave. So we couldn't even spend the whole night there, because of some stuff that was going on back in St. Louis. But that was just us. We just didn't stay. And I don't know if we would have had more activity should we have stayed longer, but we had, we were only there probably 2 hours, I think, and we didn't have anything happen, but we were looking around, we took a lot of pictures, and we really enjoyed being there. It's just, we didn't have any activity. And I know other people who have had activity and others that haven't, but with Bobby Mackey's, the thing is don't focus on the song, the story that goes along with the song that Bobby Mackey did. Go with your feelings of other things, and that well that's there was from when it was a distillery. So that's the thing, you guys, if you don't have the real history of the property, a lot of this stuff, you'll eat up the story and think, hey, this urban legend is great, and then you get the real history behind it, and you're going, well, this doesn't match up with that legend at all. And that's the part that I have problems with, are urban legends.
I actually think most of the ghosts at Bobby Mackey's, a few former employees, but I think most of them are just, hope I don't offend anybody, but I think they're drunk drivers. I think it's just people that have died in the area, and for whatever reason, that place that's one thing you have to say about Bobby Mackey's. It is a paranormal cliche. It has all of the elements that we look for in a haunted location, between age, limestone, water, railroad tracks, crappy electricity. It's got it. And so that's been my experience there, is that there's stuff going on, but it doesn't rise to the level that some of the TV shows. Now tell me about the Sally House. I know very little about the Sally House.
Well, there's a lot of urban legends that go along with the Sally House. And of course it was perpetuated some by Ghost Adventures as well. And that was the fact that it was, a doctor lived in the house and botched an emergency appendectomy on a little girl there in the middle of the night. And that she woke up while he was trying to do surgery, and she stood up and saw this man and then died. And she died hating men. Okay? So that's the story that people widely associate with the house. The other story they associate with the house is the story of Tony and Deborah Pickman, which we just met yesterday, by the way. We've been volunteering at the Sally House for 5 years, and we just met the Pickmans yesterday. Very nice people. But Deborah Pickman documented their time in the house. They lived there about 18 months, and they had all kinds of stuff happen, enough to where they ended up on national TV, with Tony getting scratched in front of cameras. I mean, lots of cameras, multiple times over a period of a year that they kept coming and going. That was the sighting show. They were also highlighted on A Haunting, My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, all kinds of stuff. So their story is still very valid when it comes to the Sally House. And mostly because they were the only people to have lived there that documented it. I have not found any place where any story was exaggerated at all. I mean, not because I've been looking. Okay, don't get me wrong. I wanted to be skeptical as the next person throughout the whole thing, but you can't be when the stuff that they're talking about happens on live television. You got Peter James that comes in and points to the corner and says, "There's a portal right there." Not the basement. He never said the basement. He said the corner of the living room. So if you guys watch Ghost Adventures and you see the police officer sitting there talking to Zach, there's a cabinet behind him with a cross on it. That's where the portal is said to be by Peter James. It runs through the entire house through that section from the basement all the way through, and I believe it's the property that's haunted, not just the house. There is a main spirit there that is very dark and he may be demonic, but he scratches people a lot. I've now been scratched 7 or 8 times. I did not get scratched yesterday. I figured they had get Greg from the Exorcist house there that they could mess with. They didn't have to mess with me. And, so I've been scratched 3 times, with the mark of 3 going down my back. Sometimes it's 3 straight down. Sometimes it's 3 with 1 crossing over the other 2. One time I got an L on my back. And sometimes the scratches last 10 minutes and sometimes the scratches last for over a day. I've been bruised where it looks like somebody's holding my arms, with fingerprints on the insides of my arms, like I've been grabbed. I've been caressed and cuddled. Let's see. I've had a fold-up chair thrown at me in the basement to land right at the edge of where the pentagram had been. Let's see. I've had my hair pulled. I've been pushed. My necklace has been twisted. All kinds of stuff. And yes, I continue to go back. But it's great. It's fun.
I guess now the question that comes to mind is, because you've had so many, we'll call them negative experiences there, why do you keep going back?
Well, first of all, you don't expect a negative experience when you go. So I go in open-minded that nothing's going to happen, and if something does happen, well, then something negative happens. But I say a prayer every time I go. I may not say it out loud, but I repeat it in my head. I usually have something on me, some crystals or a Cherokee medicine bag, or a crucifix and holy water. It depends on how I'm feeling that day to what's going to make a difference. I don't know if anything's going to make a difference because if it's really not a demon and an elemental, it's going to continue to happen. If it is a demon, Jesus' name and my crucifix and holy water should take care of it. Why isn't it? I don't know. But we're working on it. That's all we can do is try to figure out what's going to work. And the biggest question we get a lot about the Sally House is, has it ever been cleansed? And it was. It was cleansed by, when Dark Hauntings came in to film their pilot that, first of all, never aired. That was Joe Sertone and some other people. They tried to cleanse and bind. It only worked for a little while, according to the Pickmans. Other than that, there may have been other people that went in to cleanse, but apparently it never really worked because it's still there, whatever it is. One of the things we do know, and Tony said the same thing I did yesterday, that sometimes there's 5 spirits there and sometimes there's 500 spirits there. It just depends.
Now, the thing about a place like that, when you're talking about cleansing and binding and stuff, I don't think that ever works on a location where that does not immediately and absolutely completely and furiously remove itself from the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when they did that, did they say, okay, no more ghost hunts,
Nope. The owner, well, if you've recently seen anything about the Sally House, you know it's up for sale for $1 million. 1,200 square foot house in a town with hardly any $1 million homes, but this 1,200 square foot house is for sale for $1 million.
Yeah. I just have this thing that I think that we both create and summon activity. And in other words, when you're talking about a portal like that, it cannot be shut down if there's somebody constantly opening it.
I agree.
So okay.
So go ahead.
Well, we're coming up on the end of the show. We just got a few minutes left, and I want to make sure we get all your plugs in before I let you go. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we hang up the phone and move on?
Well, first thing is that McPike Mansion is starting their monthly tours next Saturday. And so if you want to check out McPike Mansion, go to McPikeMansion.com, and they have a list of stuff that's going on there. There's also a camp out in the fall where you can meet me and my husband, and Coyote Chris. He'll be there most of the time anyway. I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. And that is, I believe, it's going to be the Saturday before Halloween. I think it's the 22nd of October. I'm not 100% sure. But check that out. And so it's a great camp out. It's a great chance to support a good cause and get to meet with the spirits at McPike Mansion. And then I'd also like to tell you guys, if you'd like to book the Sally House, go to visitatchison.com and go in the menu, go to Haunted, and you'll find the Sally House. There's day tours, there's self-guided tours, there's overnights. Overnights are comparable to like the Villisca Axe Murder House. It's very, very reasonable. And tell them that Denise sent you. So Visit Atchison and Denise sent you. And if you really want me to be your tour guide, contact me and let me know that so that I can find out if I'm available to do that. Otherwise, you get whoever's there. There's also another site. If Visit Atchison can't help you, you can go to sally.house, and they'll help you get your event at the Sally House all booked. Then the other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to Malvern Manor on July 16th to go up there with Josh Hurd and Rick Rose and I think ASAP Entertainment. We're not part of it. We're just going up. We think it's going to be fun. We're going as vendors for Visit Atchison. So that's going to be real fun to meet all these people and hobnob with some people. And then if you want to find us on Facebook or listen to my show, it's my show is the audio died.
Oh, it's still working on the affiliate broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, Blog Talk, because it was acting up, I went ahead and killed the feed so that it wouldn't mess up the next host. But
okay.
But you are still on the air.
Okay. Well, the last thing is find me on Facebook under the Paranormal Pride, and you can listen to my show every Monday at 7 p.m. on ParanormalKing.com. And I just love it. My guest coming up here next week is CC Paranormal team out of tomorrow. I've lost track of my days. Tomorrow is going to be the CC Paranormal team out of Northwest Missouri, and the following week it's going to be my good friend Rick Rose.
And don't forget, everybody, you can find the show at ParanormalKing.com. Denise, I want to thank you for coming on Paranormal Filler. It's been fun talking to you, and good luck with everything you have going on.
Well, good luck with you, and thanks for having me on, and, call me anytime.
And everybody, I want to thank you for listening to the first hour of Paranormal Filler. We will be continuing after the top of the hour. Stay tuned on WIHGradio.com. Subscribers, I'm not even going to shut off the video, so you might even get to hear the pre-show banter on the webcam feed. But so thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been